BlackRock finalizes their Bitcoin spot ETF. Apple is potentially going to be buying and holding Bitcoin. This is according to Michael Saylor as he was on CNBC. Also, we have Rate My Portfolio today. Has the SEC capitulated on Ethereum being a commodity and is an ETH ETF next? We have Magic Internet Money joining us for some TA. And listen to this. Listen to this.
The first thing we did is we went to the American Bank Association and said, help us craft this. And I don't know.
They went to the American Bank Association. We're going to go over that video and much, much more. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, stale information, and, well, we package it up in a fun, not put you to sleep kind of way. And Bitcoin moving closer to 45,000, 42. No. We started the show yesterday. It was around 41. We're higher now, baby.
So if we get to 42, guys, we're probably going to get to 43, maybe get to 44.
That's right.
Tune in to Sin City Crypto.
Mathematics. Mathematics, bro. You can't get to 43 before you get to 42. I know. It's crazy. Give me a chart. Give me some candles, some squiggly lines. I got this.
I did say BlackRock has gone cash only. That's basically a wrap. Debate over. In kind will have to wait. It's all about getting ducks in a row before the holidays. This is a good sign, says Eric Balkunis from Bloomberg, the senior ETF analyst. Now, this is a great tweet from Vance Harwood. Said cash only means that the authorized participants, the entities that directly interact with the ETF, will only be able to obtain more shares of the ETF by bringing the appropriate amount of cash to the table. For example, if the net asset value of the ETF is currently $15 a share and the fund requires creations to be 10,000 share blocks or more, then the authorized participant needs to transfer $150,000 to the issuer. The issuer would then transfer 10,000 shares of the ETF to the AP. Some funds allow in-kind. For the in-kind, the AP brings the asset that the ETF tracks and exchanges it for the ETF shares. Some look at this as a net negative. So, in kind, I could have bought Bitcoin and brought that to satisfy the ETF. Now you have to bring cash. Rob, I know we're not Bloomberg ETF experts here, but common sense, face value. Being able to bring Bitcoin to satisfy the ETF or being able to bring cash. Obviously, right? The former would be better.
Yeah, you can't fund the ETF with Bitcoin. Has to be purchased with cash. It's essentially what it boils down to, because there's a lot of word soup going on in here, and I had to read over this a few times. I looked at a couple different articles, and
I don't mean to cut you off, Rob, but I think this is an important section right here. The SEC's position is understandable because it will make it clear where the ETF gets their Bitcoin from. Because instead of the person buying it, the ETF, the issuer, has to buy it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And from my understanding, well, first of all, this is actually a positive because this is what the SEC wants. So the SEC, prior to what we're seeing transpond more recently, the SEC, when it comes to ETFs, have been, hey, we're going to be silent. We're just going to deny these. And this comes after multiple delays until the very end or the finish line. Then they turn around and deny it. But what we've had is just straight silence. What we have this time around is, okay, we see the application. You're going to need to change this. This right here, this model, for this example, is like, hey, you know what? We want you to bring cash so that way we know exactly where the Bitcoin came from. This is more of a...
We don't want it to come from Binance.
It's more of a trace and track KYC is mainly the motive here. Is so that way, because you can have like sanctioned Bitcoin as an example. And if you buy sanctioned Bitcoin, it can kind of get circled into other Bitcoin or lumped together. The next thing you know, you're buying Bitcoin that the government has said is a sanctioned wallet So basically, hey, we know exactly where the Bitcoin comes from if you pay in cash because you're buying it directly from someone else. So I'm going to give you $40,000. You give me one Bitcoin to, let's just say, Coinbase. And then like that, they issue you the
But
Bitcoin.
Rob, is it pretty safe to say that a majority of, especially if the ETF chooses Coinbase as their custodian, that they're probably going to buy the Bitcoin from Coinbase?
More than likely. But now where they buy the Bitcoin doesn't fall on the ETF. It falls on the market, the market, whoever they purchase it from, right? So it's offloading the KYC responsibilities to whatever intermediary it is. So let's just go back to the Coinbase example. If they buy it from Coinbase and they bought some blacklisted Bitcoin or some from a sanctioned wallet, then it's Coinbase's fault, right? Coinbase is the one that bought it before they sold it to the ETF. And so that's really the transparency, is that they don't want the ETF to be involved in where did you get that Bitcoin, because they're just paying cash for it.
You know, I am. Let me share what I plan on doing. Right, I plan on making a play on the ETF, but not in crypto, in the traditional market. So here we have Coinbase Global, right? The Coinbase stock at $157. So what I'm extrapolating here is, okay, now that they have to buy cash the Bitcoin from an issuer, probably Coinbase makes money off that. Coinbase is going to custody a lot of the Bitcoin for these ETFs. Coinbase is going to make money on that. Plus, retail comes in, Coinbase makes money on that. The listings, Coinbase will make money on that. So Coinbase stock sitting currently at a $37 billion market cap. In my opinion, this is a $200 to $300 billion company going into the next bull market, okay? So what I plan on doing is I plan on January 1st entering into a 1-year-long call option with a strike price of $175. One contract will get me 100. It's essentially like 100x leverage trading. You control 100 shares for the price of essentially one. So that is my play I plan on making. So I just wanted to share with you guys in case you're interested. And there's going to be a lot of money made. You can make money, obviously, by buying and holding Bitcoin, by having a leverage position and making sure your liquidation price is, I would say, under 30K to be on the safe side to not get stopped out by a scam wick. You can have exposure to companies like Microsoft and Tesla. You can have exposure to the mining companies, right? They're publicly traded companies. So there's plenty of ways we can make money with the ETF coming in less than 1 month. Less than 1 month, the ETF will be here. So let's try to make as much money as we possibly can. We know the shock value is going to be there as far as the supply shock goes. And so it's going to be great. It's going to be glorious. Now,
I like what you're saying there, and basically you're taking a position on Coinbase as a proxy to Bitcoin, right? You know, hey, I'll buy Bitcoin here, buy it at 40,000, it'll be 80,000. I'll 2x my profits there, or my entry price. Now, what you're saying is you're going in on Bitcoin. They have multiple revenue positions, right? So you have the custodial, the retail, and they're also going to supply the ETFs
and the spread, Robin, the spread too.
Yeah, and so you have they're going to make money on Bitcoin, yes, but they're going to make money on Bitcoin when the price goes up. When the price goes up, you're going to make money on Bitcoin just as an exchange off the trading fees, but also all the volume that goes into the ETFs for a custodial agent, they're going to be making a percentage here and there. And so you're going to get a larger return off of someone like Coinbase. Now, at the same time, if you get a pullback, you're also going to probably get a larger pullback because it's going to be a little bit more volatile or have a bigger swings. So something to keep in mind there.
Of course, there's always risks to investing in anything, especially leverage or options trading. We're all going to bring Magic on here in a second, but first, I do want to share this from the Daily Huddle. Bitcoin will surge by up to 30% in 2 days on the back of this catalyst. This is according to John Najarian. This was him and he has a brother. They're big options traders. One of the first books I ever read on options trading. So big shout out to them if they're joining us. Also, before I go any further, big shout out to our channel sponsor. That is none other than KM's Technology, our longest tenure channel sponsor. They are amazing. They've been nothing but supportive to us, and they have a great company and product. So if you own a business, you want to maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video.
I got a question for you. Okay. What do you think the price of Bitcoin will be prior to it going live, the ETF? 50,000?
Yeah. I think we're going to get to 50 to 54,000.
Okay. Let's just say, let's keep a round number, 50,000. And if this analyst is spot on, which I think is pretty accurate, do you agree on the 30%?
I would say even more, but
okay. So just going off of the analyst, what he said here, 30,000. So you got a 30% increase on 50,000. That's a $15,000 swing. So if you go into taking this information into consideration, $50,000 Bitcoin prior to the ETF, basically the first week of January. And then the ETF goes live, you get a 30% rally, $65,000 Bitcoin, all-time highs, right there again.
4,000 away from all-time high.
Yeah, it's not spot on, but pretty much there, right?
And then that's before they even start buying and doing what they do, and it goes live and people start using it. Because remember, once it gets approved, it's not like right away. Like you got to start. It takes a little bit of time. So going back to the article here, though. In a new interview with trader Scott Melker, Nigerian says that, by the way, he's Armenian like me, says that he believes the U.S. SEC will approve a spot ETF and that it could send Bitcoin soaring by as much as 30% in 2 days. He said, quote, I think we're going to get a spot ETF. When we do, Bitcoin will move 25 to 30% in 2 days. People are getting ahead of that. I think we'll go back down and test 37 again. I could maybe see that, that CME gap. I'm not sure if it got filled already, but we'll ask Magic here in a second. Said, I still like Bitcoin. I don't know why anybody wouldn't, except Elizabeth Warren, which got a video from her. Great. And people that don't like us to have sovereignty over our own wealth, whatever wealth that is. So 25 to 30%, I can see it. I think that's a little bit, a little scared. Got a little Robin feel to it, a little scared money feel. But we do have Magic Internet Money joining us, like as he does on every single Tuesday. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Magic, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
We're great, man. It's always magical when you're joining us. We love having you on, my friend. Thank you so much. Charts aside, Magic, right? 25, 30% the day it gets approved. What are your thoughts there? And typically from your experience trading in markets, how soon do traders start pricing these things in? And is there anything on the charts that you can look at and say, yep, they're starting to price that in, or yep, this is buying in, expectation of the ETF going live?
Yeah, to me, when I look at the ETF and I think about it, it's one of those things where I've kind of said this before. If you look at Bitcoin's chart on the macro, just from its overall history, it's a long series of bullish events in terms of investing. So how long have they been pricing it in? I don't know, but I can tell you that the chart, once it started turning bullish, I would anticipate that's when people were saying, okay, we want to be risk on in this field. And as that's coming to fruition, they're going to continue to invest. 20 to 30% on the day, potentially, yes. You do have to remember that events like that can be traps for traders. They can be quite volatile, but they've probably been pricing this in for a better part of the year. It has been a topic that's been brought up, so it's not like it's been any secret.
Fair enough. I do want to go over the crypto markets here. And then, of course, the first chart we'll get into is BTC. So, Magic, if you want to queue up a Bitcoin chart, while I kind of breeze through this real quick. So, Bitcoin, $42,229, up 1.3% on the 24-hour and 2.5% on the 7-day. 25 billion in volume. The overall volume is also taken up at 62 billion. You guys got to remember this number, that 24-hour volume number here. This was under 25 billion for a decent amount of time with the bear market, and then all of a sudden, Bitcoin shoots up to 35, 40K, and then numbers starting to go up. Of course, what does this say? That means people are trading, people are buying, people are selling. The markets are alive and well. What is the Bitcoin chart telling you, Magic Internet Money? Are we still in the 50K by December camp, or at least I am still? Has anything invalidated that?
Not necessarily yet, time-wise. I'll actually pull up my chart and kind of talk over what we're looking at. You have to be careful here. I believe it was Jesse Livermore that said it's really, one of those things where, not a direct quote, but basically saying when you're trying to catch the last 1/8 of a move potentially, it's the most dangerous time because, that's essentially implying FOMO. You don't want to FOMO in. And you can see that we are getting to that point where we've got major resistance from our last actual consolidation because there's really not much above these levels, above 50K. You're realistically looking all the way back up almost to all-time highs at that point. And if you go out even further to like the yearly chart, it kind of, reiterates like, okay, we're coming up to some fairly major resistance here. And there are setups for shorts, meaning that, I'm not necessarily looking to be short the market, but I am looking at where can I get in on a pullback and be strategic about where I'm entering the market, and maybe taking a little bit of profits here. So this is something I gave to the group in November on the 9th. We were looking for this specific setup. It is a bat pattern that was leading into this area. So this is a harmonic. And it starts to line up with what I've been talking about on your channel a little bit. I'm going to get rid of some of the time aspect of it because it may be front running timeline by just a couple weeks, which is fine. Essentially looking for this to hold the 2022 high as resistance and not clear it at 48,207 before a formal, retracement. So this implies the 2022 range from high to low would be kind of your market that you're working within. If we were to stretch this over, you could say this is what we're looking at. It's more of a bigger range. Where do I want to be accumulating? On a pattern like this, it's showing you that about 32K is the EQ, and that is also going to be your breakout point of consolidation, meaning that this would be the ideal entry if given. There's a lot of people who think we might not get back to that, but there is a setup for it. So, getting long in this region does need to be somewhat, I guess, really well thought, because the risk is much higher up here than it was obviously down in this range. And then the other one was, we brought this up last time we spoke, was the statistics aspect of it is, these monthly pivots are just averages of price. They're very basic math, high, low, close of that session divided by 3. And then you can get a specific hit rate in the next session. They are 77.9% specifically. So 77.9% of the time you will touch this average. You've only touched, I think it's 8 of them this year. So you are due for one more potentially to hit that average exactly almost. And you have missed the last few in a row, meaning that we're more than likely going to come back to this zone at some point. So the more I start to look at this setup in this like de-risking area to take profits, the more I'm starting to like, okay, my high time frame plan in the Q1 has been, I'm looking for a pullback to get long. Again, where would I be looking to do that? It'd be in this region. If that passes me by, it doesn't hurt my feelings too much, as I've been getting long all through this region here. So it's one of those where the next play realistically is going to be, in my opinion, a waiting game. It could be 2 to 3 months before we get these prices. We could put in a fairly large consolidation here. So if price, just blows through this area and goes to like 52K, which would be the next target above this box, which is right here above these local highs, I'm not too upset either. There's a trade there as well, just above that zone. So to me, I wouldn't say, don't be bullish on crypto, because I think the future is pretty bright on this, especially with the ETF and all that going on. I just think that right now is the time where, we all want 50K by the end of December. We also have to be prepared if we don't get it, So to me, I'm looking at it from a risk standpoint, just kind of, I would say I'm a little off on it in terms of applying new risk and capital up at these stages of the market.
I'm going all in, bro. I'm going all in. I'm
it.
selling my house.
100X.
I might even sell one of my kids. I got 3 of them. Just kidding. Magic.
People don't have to. You might want to buy one.
Yeah, I know, right? They aren't expensive. They aren't cheap, though. I'll tell you that. I'm still in the camp of 50 to 52K or 50 to 54K Bitcoin by the end of December. Mm-hmm. Looking back historically, what it's done back in 2017, 2018. Leading up, the ETF talks are only going to start heating up, and then you're going to start seeing some leaks and some chatter, and an intern at Cointelegraph or something might spill the beans. And so I really think that's going to happen, and I think it's taken a lot of people aback. I know Garrett Soloway was on a show the other day. He's essentially been more macro bearish, and so he's been saying Bitcoin's going to go back down to 10K. Even he's now saying, hey, look, I didn't expect the markets to have an appetite for risk this early. So we're starting to see the sentiment in general change. And if we take a look on the 1 hour crypto bubbles here, which by the way, shout out to the bubbles for being in the holiday spirit. We have Blur is up 6 point. Again, this is on the hour. Okay. In 1 hour, Blur is up 7%, but I want to take a look at Near. Near is up 3.8%. We have this article, cryptocurrency Near rises more than 9% in 24 hours. This is one of my alternate L1s going into this bull market, what they're doing. onboarding and everything. I'm super excited about Near. What is the Near chart telling you? And what are some levels we should be looking out for resistance and support?
Sure. Yeah, let me do something real quick here because I know we have some guys in the group that have been really big in the Near for quite some time now. Looks like you've just hit a gold pocket in a weekly there. Let's take a look at Near. What exchange is that? Binance Tether. Okay.
And guys, while Magic is doing that, make sure to hit the like button. All right. Robin's not yelling at you for what are we at? We're at less than 90% or less.
Yeah, here real quick. I just did a quick intermission real quick. So 215 viewers, 81 likes. That's about a 35% like ratio. Do us a favor, hit the like button, support the channel, support your favorite hosts. Hit the like button if you like Big Rob, and keep doing what you're doing if you like David. And then also, we do got a few new people here. If you're new, say hello so we can drop an Ola back at you. We got Jay Poole, Crypto Corey, Michael B, Yellow Pin, Be Frank About It, and Crypto Mike. To all of you, Ola, welcome.
All right, Magic, what are we looking at Near? What's going on here? What the hell is that?
This is the Near chart on the yearly. You know me, shoot. I like my yearly charts right off the rip. So, yeah, I mean, when you're looking at it right now from a risk standpoint, if the low is in on this coin, there's substantial upside. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Just because something's been beat down, though, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to, go back to where it was. But Near does have, it seems like a good ecosystem and community around it, which in crypto means quite a bit in terms of like pump, if you can get this thing going again, right? So that's really the big thing you want to focus on. Is there hype around this coin, and will there be a narrative, I guess, in the next bull run in terms of altcoins? That seems to be the key factor, because fundamentals are kind of, shaky. Sometimes they don't even have to have good fundamentals. They just pump, right?
That's not true. Look at these meme coins. They have great fundamentals.
Yeah, right. This one's a picture of a frog, and it's great. Yeah. In terms of highs, I'd be worried about, not worried about, but paying attention to, is about $2.84 here. This is going to be the high from Q1 of this year. I like to make these white. And the main reason being is a lot of times, you'll take these, there's usually stop losses up here, things like that. We're not really getting too far into that. And then 355. Those are going to be the two major levels that I'm really looking at here in terms of consolidation. So one thing to note is you had a really nice setup on the monthly chart, which normally we don't go out that high time frame when we talk about setups, but you can see that you've made a low, you've then hence closed below the low, swept the low, reclaimed your yearly open, and essentially what you'd be looking to do is now target the top side of this range again. And so you are coming up to a point where profit taking would start to make sense up here in this region. Now, it doesn't mean exit your position entirely. It just means beware that buying into this first initial touch into this zone may not be the smartest decision. Between 272 and 284. You'll probably find some resistance up here. It doesn't mean that it won't push through it eventually. It just might be a pullback. So if you buy into this zone, you might be underwater for a little bit. But realistically, after that, you are looking up to 355 and then ultimately 437. Let's see where the averages were for this one. Let's go real high time frame.
And Magic, I like that you're kind of building these out live on the show, as you're kind of talking through it. I think it's important for people to see, what you're using, where you're plotting things. And guys, if you go back after the show and kind of go in slow motion and rewind, you want to use some of the same trade setups, feel free to do so.
I've got a video that's actually free on my channel that shows you exactly how we do all the horizontals. Like, it's the very first lesson in our academy. How do you identify support and resistance? It's one of my more reviewed videos, but it's out there for the public. It's about 20 minutes long, but it's pretty in depth. It even shows you how to organize your object tree, things like that. So
awesome.
But yeah, so right away you can see that you've got a consolidation range here. And the reason I like building these out with you guys is walk you through the mentality of, an investor in terms. So you've got a low and a high essentially. So you want to be looking at this as, where does it make sense inside of this structure for me to potentially get, long? Because you do have the potential for, this being your bottom, right? A bottoming structure. You also have the potential for this stretching up and saying, maybe this is your bottoming structure and this is your midway point. Now you can see that. So, maybe anything in this zone is a good buy. So maybe we should be looking at it that way and saying, well, eventually we'll go to 435. The average for 2023 was actually 769, meaning that we're way below it. So a mean reversion definitely could happen. And I'd be in favor of something like that once the market gets going. So looking at resistance here, you can see that you have some new averages about to print for the first of the year. This is called Future Pivots. It's something that was created by one of the members in our group specifically. So shout out to T-Bone there. And it's basically just letting us know where the incoming horizontal averages are going to be at for that session. So this is your 60-day average, your yearly average, and your 6-month average. And you could even turn on the quarterly as well. No, the quarterly is on. Yeah, okay. And the monthly. You can see that they're all going to start generating in this region of the chart, right? So if everything is generating right here and we know we're about to hit resistance, it stands to make sense that we would want to see this region of the chart holding. And if it is, then we would look at this as a good place to maybe take an initial spot entry. And if we can get through this level, start targeting these upper levels. However, to the downside of that, you have to have a plan, right? The plan on this one would be, can I get into this at the best price possible? If we start giving this area back up around $2, you have to kind of, partition things and say, okay, where does it make sense for me to get back in? Again, I like to do stuff like this just because it makes it very, very simple. Lose the EQ. What am I looking to do? I'm looking to come down into this region and start averaging in back into that, maybe $1.50 to $1 region even. And if you can get that entry again, that'd be great. But a lot of times what happens is it leaves people out of the move, goes to this area, pulls back slightly, and then pushes higher before returning all the way back down, which is kind of, it's pretty brutal, kind of like right here. You can see how you went all the way up, came all the way back down, and then before, leaping off. So people sell the bottom, buy the top. Moves like that happen a lot with these like low market cap assets. So you want to make sure you're being at least somewhat safe. Now, if you're holding for multiple years, you probably don't care quite as much. But if you're somebody like most people in crypto and you check your phone every day, you're checking your portfolio value, because people do that. They wake up in the middle of the night. I did it when I first started. I was excited. It was 2017. You didn't matter what you bought. You bought Litecoin, Ethereum. They were all just mooning every day. And I would wake up and check my phone constantly, just refreshing it. It was like an addiction. So if you have that issue, maybe set out a plan like this and say, okay, Magic, I want to buy in this region so that
I feel like you're attacking me here. I only do it because I got to do it for the show. Okay. Thank you.
This is true. You do have to do that for the show. It's part of the criteria. But you will notice, this is where I want to be accumulating. And you can see it's a pretty well respected channel. You've got, touches here, and we're sticking to the pretty high time frame chart on this one because we don't want to necessarily be looking for day trades on something like this. But we do look at this and say, man, as long as we're holding this, box of consolidation between the quarter one high and the yearly open, essentially, it's a pretty wide zone. But if I can strategically start getting into this, this is one that's got a lot of potential for the next run. And so a lot of your investors that are looking for exposure, just make sure that you don't go all in on something. Maybe sit down and say, okay, I'm going to allocate, because you guys do this with the portfolio reviews, which I love. Yeah, is they have percentages of what they're allocating to, and you guys actually review those. And I think that should be a normal thing for people to start doing, is, knowing exactly how much exposure they have to Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus maybe Cardano or XRP or Near Protocol. It's a really great thing to do because you are, you're playing with real money, whether you like it or not. You're not trading, but you kind of are at the same time. You're trying to invest. So and there's a lot of opportunity in this space, and that's what brings people in, is because everyone feels like on the stock market they've missed out, but with crypto, infinite opportunities to maybe one day get a Lambo, right?
I want a Maybach. Thanks to the Lambo. I want a Maybach. We do have breaking news here. We got a straight nuke that was dropped. Crypto Billy dropping $100 super chat. He said, David, you look good, man. Robin, what's going on? You need a haircut? Just kidding. He said, Merry Christmas, Instant Crypto. Love you guys. You too, Magic Internet Money. Thanks for all you do. Billy, we love you, my friend. Guys, Billy has been doing a Twitter Spaces every Tuesday. So go follow him on Twitter. A great Spaces. He brings a lot of really good people on there. I was on there last week or the week before that. Looking forward to tonight, my friend. Thank you so much. Also, big thank you to Magic Internet Money. He joins us every single Tuesday. If you enjoyed the content from Magic, we did pin his website link in the comment section. Make sure to go on there. It'll take you to his YouTube. He has a Discord as well. Magic, we love having you on, my friend. We love your insight. Thank you so much. Any parting words before we let you go, my friend?
Not really, man. Everybody have a good holiday. If I don't see you next week, are you guys going to be live next week on Tuesday?
We'll be live on Tuesday.
Yeah. I guess that's
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'll see you guys next Tuesday, the day after Christmas, I guess. And then the only other thing is I'm going to shill it. My daughter sells Girl Scout cookies, and I post the link to her sales thing on my Twitter every year. So She usually wins her troop competition. So if you guys want to buy some Girl Scout cookies, they'll ship them right to your house. You can buy online. I'm going to post that link today. So hit me up on Twitter.
Hold the line. Hold the line. Go follow Magic on Twitter at Magic Internet M1. Go follow him. Magic, I am committing to buying some Girl Scout cookies from your daughter. Who else is going to commit with us? I love cookies, man. Cookies are my, those, which ones are the ones? The caramel and the coconut?
Yeah, caramel delights. Yeah,
those are bomb.
Yeah, those are good. I'm a Thin Mint guy. I'm kind of cliche. Yeah, Thin Mints out of the fridge. You gotta have them.
They're all, the only ones I don't like are the peanut butter sandwich ones. Those are kind of,
those are good.
Samoas, bro. Anyways, I'm getting hungry, man. I haven't really had breakfast this morning. Magic, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you, brother. And we'll see you again next week. Take care.
And then,
thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, bro.
Have a good one, bro. For those of you in the chat, let us know, what is your favorite cookie? I'm just curious.
Does the biscotti qualify or?
Oh man, the biscottis are so good.
So good.
Can we do biscotti?
Was it Biscoff? Yeah.
Biscoff.
No, but Biscoff is.
You know, Nutella's been getting into the game. They got some revolutionary snacks now, bro. They got like cookies with like Nutella on.
Okay. Anyways,
that was from a year ago, yeah.
From cookies to apples. Apple, are they going to start buying Bitcoin? Well, Michael Saylor potentially thinks so. Let's listen to his interview on CNBC. Am I muted on my end? Oh, I am muted on my end. Yeah. So when I pull up websites, I mute this just in case. So it doesn't, there we go. Okay.
Now there's Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy Executive Chairman and Co-founder. Michael, it's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Morgan.
I do want to start right there with the regulatory landscape. The fact that Coinbase is now filing a petition in federal appeals court requesting review of the decision by the SEC. Is this the type of situation that could impact Bitcoin or impact the type of work you're doing at MicroStrategy?
No, it's there's a lot of uncertainty around the rest of the crypto ecosystem, but the one certain element of the ecosystem is Bitcoin is universally acclaimed to be a global commodity or an asset without an issuer. Mm-hmm. So the one thing we can count on is Bitcoin goes forward in the year 2024, and a strategy built around Bitcoin is generally a pretty safe one for institutions.
New rules, speaking of regulations, recently announced by the Financial Accounting Standards Board, the FASB, that are going to require companies to account for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin at fair value. Set to go into effect, these rules, in the next year or so, but companies can begin to apply them earlier than that. How is that going to affect MicroStrategy?
You know, we welcome fair value accounting. It's going to create much more transparency and clarity in P&Ls and balance sheets for any companies that are holding Bitcoin. I think the real significance is that there are companies like Berkshire Hathaway and Apple Computer that have $100 billion plus in cash. And right now they have to invest it in treasuries and sovereign debt. And with this change in fair value accounting, you're going to have a commodity that's valued as fair value, and it becomes a legitimate treasury reserve asset for publicly traded companies.
Yeah, and we've had that conversation before.
Let's stop it right there. Apple is a close to $3 trillion company. As Michael Saylor said, what do you say, 100 million or 100 billion in cash? With this new accounting rule, right, that we've spoken about this at length, essentially makes it easier for companies, publicly traded companies, to hold Bitcoin as a reserve asset. It makes it easier for their accounting. It makes it easier for their company valuation. What reason would any company, Apple included, have to not hold, as Michael Saylor mentioned, the hardest commodity in the world? And what do you think that would do to the markets, Robin? From a price and from a narrative side of things, right?
Yeah, I mean, people like to follow what the big money is doing. We saw what happened when Tesla started accepting Bitcoin for payment for Teslas. That kind of kicked off the bull market, right? I think when the announcement came out, Bitcoin was under 30,000. Now we can easily say, hey, you have the run up to the bull market. So any big news is going to catapult the market. People are just looking for some reason to pour into an asset like Bitcoin. Now, the thing is there, if Apple were to, if we're going to speculate here, and this is just Michael Saylor just throwing out a company example of a large company that has money on hand. But Apple has $61.5 billion in cash and cash on hand equivalents last year. So in their last their public when they made all of their numbers public.
Their filings.
Yeah, they verify. They 61 billion. So they got 61 billion just sitting on the sidelines. And that's at a market cap of 800 billion. That's roughly 7 or 8% of Bitcoin's market cap they have in cash on hand. Now they wouldn't go all in on Bitcoin, but I'm not trying to make that correlation.
Let me interject something to you here, right? So a lot of companies, they started de-risking and they started moving into treasuries because treasuries are paying 4, 5, sometimes 5.5%. Now that the Fed is saying we're going to cut rates and rates are going to come down, and you're not only is inflation starting to come down, but treasury rates are coming down. Now you got to go risk on. Halving's around the corner. You have a vehicle now as a spot ETF.
Well, the thing is, you go into a bear market, when you go into a bear market, hedge funds and large companies are trying to prevent capital loss. They're trying to not lose money, essentially. And so what do you do at the same time in the recessionary periods? The cost of or the interest rates on these treasury bonds go up. And so anyways, you're incentivizing companies to invest in the U.S. Bond system and in turn not keep it in the free market. And then the opposite happens when you go into a bull market. So now you're losing the incentive to stay into treasury bonds coming out of a bear market. S&P 500 rallying. The NASDAQ broke all-time highs as well recently.
I think everything broke all-time.
Yeah, but I mentioned the NASDAQ because it follows tech stocks, which Bitcoin has also followed in tandem. So, anyways, yeah, man, companies are gonna look for a safe haven asset or investment going into a bull market. They got cash on hand. They got to do something with it. If they're not going to invest in a company and they just want to keep the reserves on the side, their commodity makes a lot of sense. The ETF there, once that gets approved, is the perfect vehicle for a company to invest in Bitcoin. And, there you go.
If I'm pitching Apple, right, you have people like Samson Mao who go country to country to help nation state adoption. If I'm pitching Apple on buying and holding Bitcoin, say, listen, you buy and hold treasuries because it's backed by the largest government, the largest markets, and the most powerful military in the world, the U.S. market. But the problem is there's a risk of them defaulting. They're irresponsible. They keep printing money. They keep getting into debt. Or would you rather have your money in the most decentralized, largest open source network in the entire world that has a hard cap, that is a commodity, that is accepted globally, has no borders? What would you rather have your money? That would be my pitch to Apple. So Tim Cook, somehow we popped up on your YouTube feed and you're watching our channel, give me a call. I'd love to sit down with you and talk to you. So every Tuesday we rate someone's portfolio, and well, today's Tuesday, and we're going to rate someone's portfolio. This was submitted by, and we do keep people anonymous for obvious reasons. So this is a $21,000 portfolio. Their goal is to 5 to 7x. Fairly conservative, right? So here's what it looks like. BTC, we'll call it 50% of their portfolios in Bitcoin. 11% ICP, 12.4% Ethereum, 8.9% XRP, 8% Cardano, 3.3% in Quant and Hedera equally, and 3.2% in Flare. Robin, keep in mind, their goal is to 5 to 7x. What do you like about this portfolio? What do you don't like? And what would you change? What would you rate it?
5 to 7x, I think, is spot on for your portfolio. For your goal is right where it needs to be. Half of it allocated to Bitcoin. I would try to. Here's the thing. Perhaps the altcoin markets don't rally this bull market as hard as they did in the. Now, I think that we are going to get a very strong bull market. Altcoins are going to rally, but this cycle is not going to play out the same as the previous. And with that said, we could see a scenario where Bitcoin and Ethereum, because they're going to have ETFs, or at least Bitcoin will, and we assume that they're going to lump the
ETH will
Ethereum-
have an ETF.
We're assuming the ETH one will get lumped in there too. I'm probably about 50-50 on the ETH one. 98%. I'm talking about come January.
Oh yeah. Oh no, we are not going to see an ETH. They've already been delayed, Rob.
Okay.
It's already been.
Well, what I'm saying is that when's the deadline for the
Not until like June.
Okay.
The final deadline.
I don't know if those will get approved. I still lay 50-50 on that. I think they're coming. They're on the horizon. But I think if there's any way the SEC can deny them without getting sued out the rear end, I do think that they're going to try to delay that as much as possible, and more than just the denials. Now, I would get more of a position on ETH with that said. I think ETH is a pretty surefire bet here. I don't know what I would trim here. Maybe, but I like the 50% Bitcoin. Maybe go down to if you drop Bitcoin down to 40% and ETH up to 20%. I think
Hell no. That's my opinion. Sorry.
it's a large position on. You got a large
It
position.
should
on,
be.
on. I think I would cut the flare. Because you got XRP anyways. I would cut the flare, put that in, roll that into ETH, and then I would.
No, because probably Flare has been an airdrop from XRP. Oh,
Yeah.
So you want it's free money.
Sell
You
it.
get already right.
Yeah,
Which is exactly why you should
it's,
sell it.
It's free money. Yeah, sell it. I mean,
No.
I think for his conservative, if you were looking for a 10x plus, then yeah, sure, keep flare. But I don't know. I think you should have a bigger position on ETH. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, for his goals, he's gonna nail it. You still got to kind of sell the top, or at least DCA out towards the top to get it. Because the thing is I mean, Bitcoin,
Bitcoin will do a 5 to 7x.
yeah, but are you gonna sell the top?
No one's gonna sell the top.
Yeah, so Bitcoin will get a 5 to 7x. So more than likely, your average exit position is probably going to be 3x, right?
3, 4x.
Yeah,
160K.
yeah.
200.
Here's the thing: all the people that I know that have bought and swing traded Bitcoin are not routinely pulling 5x's off of Bitcoin. I don't know a lot of people that bought Bitcoin at 3,000 and then sold it at 15 in one cycle. And for that reason, I would just assume you're going to get it somewhere between a 2 to 4x out of Bitcoin. So now to get a 6 to 7 on the full portfolio, you're going to need to hit some long. You're going to need to get some 10x's out of the alts. And I think that he's got it styled out pretty well, or she. And but now,
What number would you give it?
I'd say 8.5.
I think this is an excellent portfolio. If you're looking at only a 5 to 7x, I do agree with Robin, right? You're going to have to start DCAing in. You'll probably realize a 4x out of Bitcoin, right? So that's great. 50% of your portfolio, rock solid. The rest, ICP, you'll get a 10x. XRP, you're not. I would trim XRP, get rid of Flare, trim XRP down to 5%. Either add, I like ETH is fine. I'd keep ETH. Quant's cool. Hedera's cool. XRP, trim it down. ADA, keep it where it is. Maybe add a Near. Maybe add a Gala. Maybe add a Fetch AI. Maybe no Polygon, no Avalanche in there, no Solana in there. That's what I would do. I would maybe even trim ETH down to 10. Get Bitcoin at 50. Trim ETH down to 10. Trim ICP down to 8.
Trim ETH down?
Yeah, trim ETH down to 10.
Bro. If you
ETH
said
has more competitors than last cycle. We're already seeing DEX volumes being flipped.
Bro.
We're already seeing NFT volumes being flipped. Am I saying ETH won't 5x? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I put ETH and Bitcoin in the same category. 5 to 7.
Do you believe in this next cycle the Ethereum ETF will be passed?
Yes.
And you don't think that it'll have more price movement than Bitcoin as far as percentages?
Percentages, sure.
So where's the disconnect here, bro? If you're going to get a bigger return on percentage on ETH, why the hell are you going to trim it down?
It's clunky, man. It's slow.
what's not slow is the stock market.
You have a fair point.
Dude,
Just giving my personal opinion, okay?
yeah.
I would like to hedge my bet on the L1s a little more, maybe throw some gaming and AI on there. But overall, again, this is an excellent portfolio. I give this a 9 out of 10. So a big shout out to the person who submitted this. If you want us to review your portfolio, submit it to us via Twitter DM, and we'll randomly pick one, and we'll rate it on the show. Rob, why don't we give some love to the chat?
All right. So if you are new here, say hello so we can drop a Ola back at you. We got TL or Bitcoin on the cob. Dark G. T-Shroom is up in here as well.
T-Shroom?
Cigar in here. So
Love
to all
cigar.
of you, Ola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, we are officially above the 50% like ratio. Let's see if we can get to 200 likes. It's been a while. Smash that like button.
Yeah.
And then also, let's get a Ola Train going. So we like to do this when we're bored here. And so activate the chat.
Who said we're bored?
The chat is bored. The
Oh,
chat's
okay.
falling asleep, bro. So
Told you that?
do us a favor. Let's see if we can get the Ola Train going. Put an Ola in the chat. We've got 250 people. Let's see if we can get 250 Olas spammed into the chat. I just like to watch the chat just roll up, man. Just like
Little things that make Robin happy.
yes, it does, man. A like button and the chat just to go crazy, like it's
Just to
rolling
name
down
a
hill.
few.
There you go.
Now, I did show you an earlier video about what they said. We consulted the banks. We're going to show that video in a second, but this ties in as Senator Elizabeth Warren sharpens her tone against crypto industry with new letters about government hires. What is she talking about now? In a letter to the Coin Center crypto advocacy group, Elizabeth Warren accused the industry groups of, quote, flexing a not-so-secret weapon of former defense and law enforcement officials being hired in a purported attempt to undermine congressional efforts to address the alleged role of crypto in financing terrorist groups, including Hamas. She said, quote, this abuse of the revolving door is appalling, revealing that the crypto industry is spending millions to give itself a veneer of legitimacy while fighting tooth and nail to stonewall common sense rules designed to restrict the use of crypto for terror financing, rules that could cut into crypto company profits. Kind of like when politicians quit and go work for Boeing or Raytheon or other companies, IBM, But when crypto does it, how dare we do that? How dare we bring someone who understands law and the SEC to come help us into compliance? Shame on us. This all leads back to terrorist funding and organizations. Now, this video I showed earlier, she is co-sponsoring a bill that essentially is going to, I don't want to say ban Bitcoin and crypto in the US, but potentially make it a ban. So listen to what this guy has to say.
Senator Warren and I have authored the Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act that represents a step in the right direction. Again, I think that this is a light touch. The first thing we did is we went to the American Bank Association and said, help us craft this. And I don't know if you saw Senator Warren's hearing with Jamie Dimon yesterday, but Mr. Dimon said basically, in his opinion, crypto is only a tool for criminals. And I think, again, it's that light touch by the federal government as opposed to a heavy touch as well.
Such a light touch, making people do something that's not possible. Literally not possible what this bill wants people to do. They want wallet providers to KYC people. They want miners to KYC people. That is not possible. Stupid. Also, hey, we have a Bitcoin bill here. Let's go to the banks. How about you go to the exchanges? How about you go to some of the developers? How about you go to some of the miners?
The only thing I could think of is you want to craft a bill on cryptocurrency and regulation.
I want to know how to start a restaurant. I'm going to go talk to Ford. What?
No, the thing is they're going directly to the competitor, right? Crypto is to circumvent the fiat system, and fiat is issued essentially or distributed by the banks. Now the government prints it, but we all have bank accounts, or at least here in the States we do. And crypto and the idea is fighting against the banks. It basically blows up that whole model. Now it threatens their business model. So when you're looking at it, if you're a top level executive at a bank and you're saying, hey man, this crypto thing, it's First of all, people are not keeping money in savings accounts as much as they regularly were before, and they're moving it into crypto. They're also spending and transacting in crypto. Now, perhaps it's a very small percentage right now, but you do see on the horizon that, remittance payments, moving money internationally, and also small transactions with different layer ones are becoming cheaper than using Visa, right? You go to the gas station and you pay, what is it, like 2% more if you use a credit card instead of cash. You see the price? It's like cash on the gas.
Yeah.
And so the entire business model for crypto, when transactions are sub 1 cent on these layer ones, you couple that with the fact that it costs less than $1 to send crypto internationally. And then you say, hey, better store of value than using the savings account, which gives me 0.01% interest annually and a savings account at a traditional bank, or I can keep it in Bitcoin and, well, hey, just watch what happens after a couple of years on the price or the returns. And so all of these factors are going against the banks. And so the banks see this. And so if you're a bank executive and you're looking at crypto, you're like, man, this is not good. And then all of a sudden, a politician comes up like, hey, trying to do some regulation thing on this crypto. You want to put some insight in it? Like, oh, yeah, crypto's bad. Like, no, only criminals use it. Who's attacking North Korea? Yeah, they're using it too, man. That's like, come on, man. It's
frustrating.
It's comical, ignorant, and I'm not surprised. I'll put it that way. But
I don't think we're surprised.
No.
It's still frustrating.
Yeah.
We need a voter out. If you live in Massachusetts, please, for the love of God, go vote against her. If you love crypto and if you love your portfolio in the green, vote her out of office. It's about damn time. We make a statement, get her out. Now, speaking of making statements, the SEC might be backing down on Ethereum. We have this video from James Seyfert, who was on the Unchained podcast, and he thinks that the SEC has potentially capitulated on ETH being a security and is ready for ETH being a commodity. Let's listen.
My view is that the SEC has pretty much implicitly accepted Ethereum as a commodity at this point. They also now have approved Ethereum futures ETFs, which are squarely in their purview. If they want to go back and call this thing a security, then we'd have to delist every Ethereum futures contract out there. We'd have to delist the Ethereum futures ETFs. And basically, it wouldn't just be the SEC fighting against the industry. It would be the SEC fighting against the industry and the CFTC, its sister agency. So that's why I think things are more likely than not. We haven't put out exact odds, but I do think it's likely to happen in 2024. My view since this summer has basically been, I think Gensler and the SEC are pivoting on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin's on a tier all its own. Gensler will say it's not a security, call it a commodity. And then he won't say anything on Ethereum, but he'll call like pretty much everything else under the sun security. So I think he's kind of pivoted on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think it's just not worth their energy to fight this.
If you enjoyed this clip, watch the full episode.
Rob, what are your thoughts on that? Any input you have there?
I think that the ETH ETF is around the corner. You can't call it a security anymore. I mean, I guess you could say that with the proof of stake coming around, the change to proof of stake, you could make an argument that it goes against the decentralization where it's not an investment contract. And with proof of stake, you are expecting a return from staking. It's not profit sharing. That's where the difference between staking and buying a security from a publicly traded company is that there's a shared revenue of profits. Now, when it comes to proof of stake, you're essentially getting rewarded for participating in the network. And so it'd be the same way, like, hey, I'm not investing in the company if I'm working for them, right? Now, I'm helping them make money. I'm helping them execute their business model, but I'm not, I might have an expectation of profit because, hey, I'm going to work. I want to get paid. But at the same time, I'm not investing in the company. We're not sharing profits. And so that's where the differences lie. So even that argument, you can't make a compelling argument from a judicial standpoint, like going to court, that there is not sufficient decentralization for Ethereum. I think we all know that it's kind of hands off on Ethereum. Nobody's steering that thing as far as like a company with centralization. Now, there are upgrades, roadmaps, there are developers, but that's just to maintain the network and get it scalable. It's not to, to change it in the same way that a company would change the flavor of a soda, for example, right?
Definitely more centralized than Bitcoin. Everything's more centralized.
Yeah.
I do want to share this as well, you guys. If you have OKX on your phone as an app, please update it, as OKX found a vulnerability in their iOS app, and they fixed it. But just make sure that you update it so you don't get caught with any vulnerability on your app. Also, want to give one more shout out to our channel sponsor, Kim's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business, visit bluewiretech.com. Go follow us on Twitter at Sin City Crypto 1. And we got a video coming out for you guys today. Members, you get early access, about 2 to 3 hours early. You get the info before anyone else does. So if you are a member, congratulations. If you're not a member, you want to be a member, there's a link in the description of this video, or I believe on your phone, you click something there that says join. It's $2.99 a month. Helps support the channel. You get some cool emojis, and also you get early access to our videos. So big shout out to that. And anything else, gentlemen, before we move forward?
No, that's it,
Or
bro.
before we move out. Sorry.
Yeah.
With that being said, super dry. Your shirt, super dry. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
You can't
Come back
you can't
tomorrow.
figure tomato and say super
It's my
trash.
outro, not yours. Come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. Love you guys. Peace.
Everybody know we
I'm gonna
here
mute
for
him next time.
entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming Ola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.
You can show that at the end.